Hi, I'm Cheryl and welcome to the Sewing Room channel. I'm going to demonstrate how to make this really easy table runner, but it's a little different than what I usually do. I'm going to show you how to put some beaded trim on each end of this table runner. Now, this is a small one. This is 41 inches long, but I'll also tell you how you can make it longer if you choose to, and you can make it any width that you like. So let's get started. The table runner that I'm demonstrating has a finished size of approximately 40 to 41 inches. You can make it longer, and in a moment I'll go over how to make it longer. So your fabric for the front, the back, and the cotton batting, you will need 1/2 yard. The fusible interfacing is usually sold in 20-inch widths, so you would need 1 1/4 yards of your fusible interfacing. And you can use anywhere from a lightweight up to a heavyweight. It's really up to you. And then the optional beaded fringe, you would need 1 yard or more. It depends on how wide you want to make it. If you want to make your table runner 18 inches wide, I would buy maybe 1 1/4 yards of your beaded fringe. If you want to make your table runner longer, here's how you would lay your fabric out. Leave your fabric folded like it is when you purchase it off the bolt, so your selvage edges are together. You're going to go over, you can go up to 18 inches wide on that 1/2 yard, but if you want it a little narrower, then of course you can cut it narrower. But let's say you do want it 18 inches wide. You go over and do your first cut. First cut this edge straight, then move your ruler over 18 inches and cut, and then move it over again and cut. So up to 1 yard can give you a very long table runner, around 72 inches or more, actually 80 inches. It'll give you an 80-inch long table runner. So you would just buy double the amount of fabric, including your cotton batting. Your beaded fringe, you would maybe need, if you're going to make it 18 inches wide, you would need to maybe buy 1 1/4 yards of your beaded fringe, but it mostly sells in 1 yard increments. So if you wanted more, you might have to buy 2 yards of it. Here's my fabric that I'm going to use on the back. You can use any color that you like. And then here's my fabric for the front. Isn't this beautiful? I got this at Joann Fabrics and Crafts recently. This one here I've had for a few years, but I know that they probably have other Christmas fabrics that you might want to choose from that'll work really nice with this. You could also kind of make it a two-sided table runner. One color on one side and another color on the other. And I've already put my fusible interfacing on it, and it's real easy to do. Follow package instructions. Very, very basic. It'll require a hot iron with steam, a little pressing cloth. You can use any piece of fabric you like to lay over all of this, and then you can just make sure that your cloth is damp and use your hot iron, and it will tell you how many seconds to hold your hot iron down on your fabric. Again, this is my fabric for the back of the table runner. I'm putting the pretty side facing up. And then here's the front side of my fabric for the top. I'm putting pretty side down. Now, I haven't cut my fabric out that's for the back yet. So I laid my top fabric over it, and then I'm going to cut just to make sure it's an exact fit, because it was just a piece of scrap fabric that I had, and I thought, oh, this is perfect. I also decided to cut my table runner a little narrower. Remember, you can cut it up to 18 inches wide, because my table runner is going to go on a really small console table near my front door, and so I want to make sure it's going to fit okay. So I'm going to go ahead and just cut around my fabric for the back so it's the same size as my fabric for the front. One other thing I want to mention to you If you're making your table runner longer and you've cut 2 pieces of fabric for the front, you want to stitch the ends together, and then using anywhere from a 1/4 inch to 1/2 inch seam, then press that seam open. And I like to keep my seam in the middle, so if you need to cut it down a little bit, make sure that your seam is in the middle, so whatever centerpiece you're putting over it, it's kind of hiding that seam. There are several different ways you could do this particular table runner. I'm going to put beaded fringe on it. And there's several different ways you could put beaded fringe on. So I'm going to show you the easiest way that I put it on. So if you're going to do the beaded fringe, you're going to pin your 2 fabrics together and stitch a 1/4 inch seam on the 2 longest edges only. This long one here and here. And you're going to leave the 2 end openings open, unstitched. If you are not going to use any beaded fringe, then you want to stitch around all 4 edges at this time, doing a 1/4 inch seam. But leave an opening on one edge that you can use to turn the table runner front side out. So if that's the case, no beaded fringe, then you would back stitch on each side of your opening, start on one side of the opening and stitch all the way around, and then stop on the other side of the opening and back stitch. So pick one of those methods and I'll get right with you. After you finish stitching, either go to either end of the table runner, or if you're doing it without the beaded fringe and you have an opening along the side, go through that opening and then turn your table runner front side out. After you've turned it front side out, smooth it all out, and then go to your ironing board and press your 2 seams really flat. This next step is relating to the beaded fringe. So at each end, you want to fold the edges inside 1/2 inch and press them flat. The beaded fringe that I'm using, you can get at a variety of places. I used to buy it at Joann's, but they don't have as much of a selection as they used to, and their fringe is really expensive. So I have since gone on Etsy, that's ETSY.com. All you need to do is enter beaded fringe, and there are dozens of sellers on Etsy, and the price that I got on mine was $5 a yard. Some were more and some might have been slightly less, but they usually sell it in 1 yard increments. I have tried many different ways to put beaded fringe into a seam, and it's always sort of a mess. It never really looks right. This has been a tried and true method for me. So if you're used to working with beaded fringe and you've had great results, then of course use that technique that works for you. But this is what works for me. So I'm going to open the seam up, and I'm just going to use a little pin to push the beaded fringe inside and to help get it lined up. Then once you've got it lined up, then put straight pins to hold it across. Now you'll need quite a few straight pins. I recommend this particular type of presser foot because I've had the best results with that, is either use a narrow zipper foot, because you can move your needle to one side of the presser foot, the one that's closest to the beaded fringe, and stitch it down close to the edge all the way across. This is also a presser foot I have on my Viking. It's similar into the fact that I can move my needle to one side and also stitch it down all the way across. Here's what the end looks like on mine. Now I selected the red fringe because the little ribbon that the beads is attached to is red. So if you don't have it exactly in there perfect and you're using it on red fabric, it's not going to be noticed at all. Last step is to do some top stitching, 1/8 of an inch from the edge here on both of the long edges. I often get asked a lot of questions about how would you clean a table runner like this. Well, this table runner I'm not going to use to put food on it, so I'm not going to have to worry about food stains. Most of mine are just going to be used to sort of decorate little tables around my house. Now, I do put something like this on my dining room table, but when it comes time for everybody to sit down to eat, I put something else on the table that's easily washable if I should get any food stains on it. Because this has beaded trim on it, if you need to wash this, I would hand wash it. But most of the time, I spot clean my table runners because I don't want the colors to fade. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial and that you did learn something new. If you're interested in other Christmas projects or beginner sewing projects, check below your YouTube screen for those video links. Make sure you follow me on Instagram and check out my Facebook page. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time, and happy sewing! If you like the Sewing Room channel, one of the best ways to show your support is to subscribe by clicking on that red subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. And don't forget to click on share to share this video with your friends. And make sure you click on the bell so you receive notifications for all my new videos. I'm Cheryl. This is Manny. See you next time.